This is really important. So if you are employed in the UK, you probably have a workplace pension scheme, yet by not checking it, by not knowing what it's invested in, this could literally be costing you hundreds of thousands in retirement. And there was an article in the Telegraph earlier this week which showed how middle earners could be 160,000 worse off in retirement because of something that is built into most workplace pension schemes, and that's called lifestyling. Now, here's what actually happens with lifestyling. So typically, as you get between 5 to 15 years away from retirement, your pension fund would start to move out of higher risk assets like equities, stocks, and start moving into lower risk assets like cash and bonds. And this usually happens quietly, and quite often people are unaware that this is happening, especially those who are getting close to their retirement age. They might not check their pension letters, or they might not have even had a letter to prompt them anyway, as it's built into the fund. So they got a financial planner to run the numbers for this article, and they took someone on what they said was an average salary, but they're looking at £30,000 a year, and assuming that they were paying in the minimum auto enrolment contributions, that would have been £133 a month. Now, assuming a average return of 6% over a time frame of 40 years, that pot would reach £395,000. However, if the provider automatically shifted into cash or bonds, and in this scenario they assumed 2% investment returns for the final 10 years, that growth drops to, that same pot drops to £232,000. So that's where that £160,000 difference in the headline comes from. And it gets worse as you save more. That gap gets bigger, because when they looked at contributing £500 a month into the pension and looking at the same de-risking 10 years before retirement, that gap became £400,000. Now, you might be wondering, why does this even happen in the first place? Well, lifestyling was actually designed for a world where people would use their pension pot to buy an annuity, which was a one-time purchase, and they needed the value of their pension to be stable at the point where they buy their annuity. Whereas since 2015, since what we call the pension freedoms, people have been able to access their pensions much more flexibly, and many now opt for what we call flexi access drawdown, where the pension stays invested throughout their retirement and people draw income as and when they need it, or take lump sums, or simply just leave it invested for growth for the future or for their kids. And if that is your plan, then shifting into these lower growth assets just before you start retiring could actually be solving a problem you don't even have, and it could actually negatively impact your retirement plans, as we've just seen. I just want to be clear, lifestyling isn't wrong for everyone, and for some people, heading towards an annuity or de-risking towards retirement can be the right approach, but I'd always recommend speaking to a qualified professional before making any of these types of decisions. But if you did get any value from this video, then drop me a follow. As always, this is for education only, it's not financial advice.